In 2005, 1 in every 8 marriages in South Korea included a foreign partner. That figure did not emerge from a policy decision or a deliberate cultural shift. It came from the collision of rural depopulation, a widening gender imbalance in the Korean countryside, and economic migration from Southeast Asia and China. A generation later, the children of those unions are sitting in classrooms across the country. More than 160,000 multicultural students are enrolled in Korean schools today, up from fewer than 30,000 just 15 years ago. Korea has long defined itself as one of the world's most ethnically homogeneous societies. But the children growing up between two identities are quietly challenging that self-image. Their story is not just about family, it is about what Korea is becoming. The growth in multicultural students has been steady and is accelerating. In 2009, approximately 26,000 multicultural students were enrolled in Korean elementary, middle, and high schools. By 2017, that number had crossed 100,000. By 2022, it had reached approximately 168,000, a more than 6-fold increase in 13 years. These students now account for nearly 3% of Korea's total school-age population. Their mothers come predominantly from Vietnam, China, the Philippines, and Cambodia, with Vietnam and China together representing more than 60% of all international marriages registered in Korea. Geographically, multicultural families are not evenly distributed across the country. Rural farming provinces, particularly South Jeolla, South Chungcheong, and North Gyeongsang, have some of the highest concentrations. In certain rural elementary schools, multicultural students now represent 20% or more of total enrollment. The roots go back to South Korea's rapid industrialization in the 1970s and 80s. Young Koreans flooded into cities in search of factory and office work, leaving rural areas hollowed out and aging. Men who stayed on family farms found themselves in a deepening crisis. Korean women, now better educated and drawn to urban careers, were choosing not to marry into agricultural life. By the 1990s, local governments in rural counties were offering financial subsidies, sometimes the equivalent of several thousand US, to help single farmers find foreign brides. Private matchmaking agencies filled the commercial gap, advertising their services in Vietnam, Cambodia, and the Philippines. At the same time, women in those countries saw Korean marriage as a path to economic security. The motivations on both sides were practical, not romantic. Governments in both sending and receiving countries were largely complicit. Korea wanted to stabilize its rural population. Southeast Asian governments watched remittances flow home. The children born of these arrangements inherited none of the policy architecture and all of its consequences. The most immediate cost falls on the children. When a Korean father and a Vietnamese or Filipino mother do not share a fluent common language at home, children often develop more slowly in Korean literacy, the language of their schooling. Research from the Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs has found that multicultural children score lower on average in Korean language assessments in early primary school. The gap tends to narrow by middle school, but early academic confidence is shaped in those first years and can be hard to rebuild. Beyond language, there is the question of belonging. Children who look slightly different or who carry foreign-sounding surnames have reported higher rates of peer exclusion. High school completion among multicultural students lags behind the national average, yet the potential running in the other direction should not be overlooked. Many of these children grow up genuinely bilingual, moving between Korean and a second language with ease, a skill that Korean corporations are increasingly willing to recruit and pay for. Korea is not the first country to produce a multicultural generation through rapid demographic change. Japan, Germany, and the Netherlands all passed through similar inflection points decades earlier. Migrant workers or marriage partners arriving in large numbers, integrating unevenly, raising children who fully belong to neither world. The consistent lesson from those societies is that the first generation struggles most, and that integration policy arriving late, after identity has already fractured, costs far more socially and economically than early investment. Korea's total fertility rate hit 0.72 in 2023, the lowest ever recorded for any country. The multicultural generation is not a footnote to Korean demographics. It is a structural part of the country's future. Whether Korea comes to genuinely welcome that reality or merely tolerates it at a distance will shape what kind of society these children grow up to lead. The answer will not be decided in government offices, it will be decided in classrooms.